Hello, hello, hello. We are live and I have my microphone. Yay. Good morning. Fantastic to see you guys this morning. It's just cool to have you here. And well, today we are going to be just on YouTube, I see. Fantastic. Functions beautifully here on YouTube, and I love it. Now, so as you can see, guys, we are very severely UFO themed here this morning. Very much so. UFOs all around. Good morning to Carol Ann and Silke and Marianne. Awesome. Yeah, guys, it's lovely to have you here. I really look forward to the Sunday Live broadcasts and to find out what it is that we're going to be doing here. So, yes, we're waiting for some people to find their way to beautiful YouTube. I just like to point to my new painting, the UFO painting. I have had a right old flailing about with that. It's taken much longer than almost anything else that I do. And it's not finished. It hasn't been glazed yet. But this morning it was essentially jumping up and down and it wanted to be here. And I thought, okay, let's just go with that whole UFO thing. Let's just go for it, shall we? And have some serious UFO stuff going on here. And this has actually really nothing to do, and I hope I'm not disappointing people who came here for the latest news of flying saucers having been discovered, or the apparently lengthy negotiation the US government has been having with the inhabitants of other planets. For me, this UFO is something else. And we'll come to that in a little while. We will come to that in a little while. But in the meantime, we are here. And what I typed in this morning, what this is going to be about, is going to be coming to our senses. And we found in modern energy that we have not 5 senses. That's the materialistic description of the world. But we actually have 6. And the 6th sense is our emotions. Now, that was a big, whoa, yeah, of course it is. Of course, yes. Because emotions, they don't come from nowhere. They are a reaction to something that's invisible. That's the thing. Emotions are a reaction to invisible things. That's the curious thing. If people only ever got sad if they saw a sad picture, or ever got angry if they were in the presence of something that makes them angry, emotions wouldn't be a problem at all to humanity. But people honestly have had the just haven't been able to figure out what emotions are and how they work. And so they then came to the conclusion at some point, some extremely drunk philosophers in the 18th century or something, sitting around in their cafe, drinking their absinthe and sucking on their opium pipes, they came to the conclusion that we can describe the world in just 5 senses, just 5. And we forget about anything else, just those 5 senses: seeing, feeling, hearing, scenting, and tasting. And that's it. And we need to keep emotions completely out of it. We take emotions out of the equation, we pretend that they don't exist, and then we will live happily ever after in some kind of wonderful utopia. And that's just such a laugh. It just kills me. This is like if your eye offends thee, cut it out kind of thing. It's just so insane that people should have come up with that, and then even more insane that billions of other people should have believed that. Crazy. In the meantime, good morning, Ravensweaver and Lorna and Janine. Hello there. Hello, my friends. My friends, Romans and countrymen. Yeah. Yeah, so emotions are our sixth sense. And that is just to understand that emotions are there to inform us about the things that we cannot see, hear, feel, scent, or taste, and that there are things that we can't figure out through the other five senses, that the sixth sense and having that online and understanding how that works and what it is that it's informing us about is just life-saving. You know, it's absolutely life-saving. You just cannot live life on this reality-reduced idea that we only have five senses. So when we bring the sixth sense back and start seriously inquiring into what emotions are, where they come from and how they are produced, and that would be, for those who are new to this party, that would be our living energy body, our spirit body, our light body, which you also can't see, which is why you need the emotions to transmit the states through the physical body. So you get a sensation. You get a sensation. Good morning, Ilka. Ah, thank you for saying that you like my UFO. Excellent. Yeah, we'll come to that in a little while. I'm just talking about sort of in general the topic here. So now, at least us lot here at the Guild of Energists, we've now figured out what emotions are, what our sixth sense is, how we work with that, how we use that. You know, how we use the additional information from that sixth sense to make sense of the world, especially not so much physical reality, but to make sense of what I call the hard, which is all the systems constructed by people. Some old guy in sandals or our aforementioned stoned philosophers sitting in a Paris street cafe, setting the world to rights and not at all understanding themselves or how their emotions is causing chaos in their thinking and taking us further away from love and logic than we ever needed to have been without their silly ideas. So yeah, we got six senses. Woohoo! Great. And then we can start to ask the question, if you wanted to start asking that question, I certainly do, is, well, how many more senses have we? Are there any more senses? I mean, it's a huge paradigm shift to go from five senses to six senses. And art is just such a perfect example of that. A work of art is an energy transmitter. And you can't judge a work of art by looking at it, touching it, licking it, sniffing it, or rattling it against your ear. It just doesn't work. It doesn't make sense. A work of art doesn't make sense if you apply just the five senses to it. But when you stand a person in front of any real work of art and say to them, okay, let's take a moment. Where do you feel that in your body? Can you show me with your hands? See, that's the sixth sense. And there, all of a sudden, the work of art starts to make sense. There's information encoded in that work of art that is being received through the sixth sense. And when we then add that to the other five, now the work of art makes sense. It's a great thing. It's a wonderful thing. It does all these wonderful things. For one, it can help people understand that certain works of art are not a good thing to have in your house. They are the equivalent of having a nice piece of radioactive glass from one of the first nuclear explosions. And you have it in a little glass cupboard on the shelf in your front room and you're really proud of it because it was super expensive. And there it sits, happily poisoning your entire house and everybody who comes in it. But it's okay because you can't see that. You can't smell it. You can't hear it. You can't taste it. And you can't feel it in your fingers. That's the sort of thing, that we need our sixth sense for. And it really is. These and many other things. Ah, thank you, Ravensweaver. You like my sparkling flying object. Oh, that's so nice. Yeah, I like it too. And again, it's, by critiquing my brush strokes, you are never going to get to the actual energy of that object. It literally is modern energy art. It was made with energy in mind to create a broadcast object that broadcasts energy. But instead of about my childhood trauma or about my demons or about my nightmares, which I honestly don't want to inflict on anyone at all, what I do and other people who do modern energy art is we try to make objects that bring something positive, whatever that may be. Something intriguing, something healing, something exciting, something positive. Create a little positive energy transmitter, like my little UFO, or a big one, like the big UFO. Now, it makes sense. Art makes sense. Magic makes sense when we bring the sixth sense into the equation. Yeah, and here I want to give a shout out to a GOE member and a GOE trainer, Isaac Lim from Malaysia. Lovely gentleman. I'm really lovely gentleman. Just a delight I'm proud to have him in the GOE. And he just completed a personal Supermind Masters course with our master trainer, Sandra Hilawi. And I was so delighted when I saw that, because Supermind, of course, is the son of Project Sanctuary, or the son and the daughter and everything else that it could possibly be, the descendant, the offspring of Project Sanctuary, which is the love of my life. And when I saw the announcement that he'd completed the course and he was now a Supermind Master, I thought, oh, wow, that's so cool. And I thought to ask him, what was your favorite thing in this entire course? Now, I know there's lots and lots and lots of things in the Supermind Masters course. Of course there are. It's 12 units with umpteen exercises in each one. But he came back and said it was the Eyes of Night. And I was like, wow, yeah. And I immediately remembered, I had a star flashback. See, did we even know that before Star Matrix, that would be, did we even know that you don't just have post-traumatic flashbacks where you're like literally hurtled back into the time when this happened, but that you can actually have star flashbacks, being hurtled back into a time when you had a star moment. So cool. And that happened to me when I saw Isaac's response, which was the Eyes of Night. And it literally threw me back into a time when an aspect of mine was lying in a bubble bath to candles, sort of nice turquoise salts and a little bit of aromatherapy going on there as well, sort of a magic bath, if you will. And the aspect had just relaxed into this lovely warm bath and sort of drifted off into Sanctuary. And there was this, and found herself strangely in Sanctuary in this really barren, nasty, cold, hard, rocky environment, possibly like you might find in Iceland, where there's like sort of a volcanic rocks and volcanic caves with these sharp, shardy black rocks and ice cold water with snow. And it was just really unpleasant. And I thought, Mum, what the hell is that? My dear energy mind never sends me to such horrible places, unless I particularly ask for it. What is happening here? And there I heard the voice. I like the voice. I hear the voice once in a very rare time, but when I do, it's always a special moment. And the voice said, "Open your eyes of night." And something happened there. I was lying in the bath with my eyes closed, and it literally was as though this other pair of eyes opened wide, and this landscape completely transformed. Where the eyes of day had only seen these horrible, shardy black rocks and a black swirling sky, all of a sudden these things were alive, crystals, in many colors, pulsating, alive, shining, growing, expanding. The sky was like filled with fireworks. And the water was this living light water with opalescent sparkles. It was absolutely amazing. It was an absolute star event for me, the eyes of night, opening the eyes of night. They can see more in sanctuary. They can see differently. They can see different wavelengths of light or of energy, if you will, that our eyes of day can't see. They're not needed there. They're not designed for that. The eyes of night, on the other hand, have this full spectrum frequency, and they can see so much more. Fascinating. By all means, do try this out in your own meditations and sanctuary explorations. Find yourself anywhere, somewhere, and have a go at this. Close your eyes of day and close your eyes of day afresh and yet again. And then slowly say, I want to open my eyes of night. And when you do that, this whole, the movie Avatar springs to mind. The way that whole thing is designed with the purple and the sparkles and the swirly things and the little things that fly around and shine like little lights, that's pretty much in that direction of looking at the world with your eyes of night. It's fascinating. It really is so fascinating. Ooh, see what Ilka says. The eyes of night is such an amazing experience, which I use very often. It's amazing and helpful. Yes, it's really helpful to let you see things in the energy worlds in a different way. The energy worlds are not like what we see through our eyes of day. There's so much more going on in the energy world, so many more connections, so many more interactions that you can actually see with your eyes of night. When somebody speaks to someone else and you have your eyes of night open in sanctuary, you can see how there's energy traveling from them. Words are sounds and words are wings. They touch you, show you many things. It's so fascinating. It really is beautiful, the eyes of night. And so here we come to my thing. The eyes of night by themselves, is that an extra sense? Is that our seventh sense, let's say? Now, if there is a version of the eyes of day that I have called the eyes of night, because you close your eyes of day and open the other eyes, it's really just quite metaphorical. If there's this other version of seeing, then how about another version of hearing? I hear the voice once in a while. I'm blessed when I do. I'd like to hear it more often. It has such wonderful suggestions, useful, helpful suggestions. Please, more. Perhaps hearing the voice is an example of hearing tuning to a different or a wider frequency. This is it, isn't it? You're tuning to a wider band of frequencies rather than just this little tiny band of vibrations that hits our physical eardrums and produces the sounds that we can hear. Because I don't see if there is an alternate sense, an extra sense, the eyes of night, that this should not really apply to all the other senses that we found. Another level of hearing, another level of scenting, another level of tasting. That is a wider frequency, and that is not possible in the heart, in physical reality. So then how many senses do we have? Well, that would make it 12. You got your 6 senses that we're used to, that we're using in the heart, and then you got the other 6, which is the eyes of night version, essentially, of the 6 senses we already have. And I find that really interesting, and I wanted to share that with you guys. You know, it's a fascinating thing, and it also, you know, it doesn't mean you see dead people necessarily. You know, getting those senses under conscious control is a part of the name of the game. Good morning, dear Eleonora. No, Eleanor. Eleanor, good morning. Hello. We are talking about how many senses we might have. We've gone up to 12. Ah, hello, Sarabi. Your artifacts in the background always grab my attention. That is good. I'm glad they are a significant part of my process of discovery, of asking questions, of trying to find out things, of opening channels of information, and also allowing for like hints and clues to come through, because I might not know where I need to go next. And my dear energy mind and the powers that be tend to help guide me, especially at the very beginning of new investigations. Consciously, I don't know what's going to happen next, but there is a part of me that does know, and it guides me forward, and it does that primarily by beginning with something like the art. Morning, Julie. Hello. Ah, yeah, this is one for the Supermind Masters, isn't it? I'll play with next day and develop my 12 senses. Yeah, it is very, very interesting. And at the very least, this is going to stimulate areas in our brain that we haven't really used before. Absolutely 100% guaranteed. I mean, I guarantee that. I know one shouldn't presuppose, research results, but I will tell you, if you take 2 groups of people, a control group and people who are going to spend some time with their 12 senses for a week or so, that the people who've done that will have considerably more areas of their brain and much more brain activity than the people who didn't do it. I'm willing to bet £100 on that. £100 is a lot of money. Marianne says, it's going to be an interesting and joyful week doing experiments with all those senses. Yes. And if my experience with the eyes of night is something to go by, then we stand to experience some really tremendous things. I mean, really tremendous things, because the eyes of night are just so beautiful that what you then perceive, what you see, is so much more connected, so much more. You look at it and you go, well, of course, this is how I should have seen all along, When you see two people standing there and arguing, and they just seem to be these islands, these separate things, and they're just shouting at each other. You know, you open your eyes of night and you see these energy exchanges, seeing that they are involved in a psychic battle, that they're punching each other high and low and left and right. And there's this real dance of war going on between them. And they are so connected in that. They're in a bubble of connection. And how these waves that come from them then affect the environment around them. I don't like it when mummy and daddy fight. It is, in many ways, even looking at something like that, like two people shouting at each other, it is soothing to see it through the eyes of night because it makes sense. It's a sad state of being, but it makes sense that there is a soothingness in consciously understanding what's happening in and of itself, without there being any solution or anything, just understanding something. Understanding the connections is super soothing to human beings, I find. Understand a little bit about how the world works and make it a little bit less random and chaotic, fearful, frightful. In and of itself is a stress relief, which is why I love doing that. I love trying to find cause and effect. I love it because the more cause and effect you find, the less fear you have on a very basic and profound level. Yeah. So I got a picture. Ravensweaver said, the sense of knowing. Yeah, just knowing, understanding. It puts you in a completely different position to deal with whatever the hell that is you have to be dealing with. Like from the headless chicken state, we're going into a far more sorry, I just clicked on the wrong thing here. Yeah, far more, it just puts you in a better position to actually then take action to do something about it, whatever it is, good or bad or anything in between. Let's have a look at Linda, what Linda just wrote there. Good morning, everyone. Are we talking about channeling an inner voice? Mine comes through when I write, which reminds me of when you were writing your novel online. Ah, channeling an inner voice. Yeah, sort of in sort of that direction. What we were talking about here is that we have 12 senses, the 6 that we use in physical reality, and then there is corresponding versions of those same 6 senses which we experience when we are in sanctuary. And I'm going to show this picture now. And there we go. Come on, picture. So when I started making UFOs quite obsessively, I obviously asked myself, what are these UFOs all about? And the only thing that I can think of here is this diagram that I made for a course. I can't remember which course I made it for, but the conscious mind, our conscious mind, is depicted here as a UFO that can travel freely across time and space. It can be right here in the physical world, and we call that grounded, and it can be anywhere else. It can be in a memory, it can be in a fantasy, it can be in sanctuary, it can be when you're reading a book, for example, it can transport itself into that world that the author has described for us. The conscious mind is this brilliant space-time ship. And when I made that diagram for that course, I really became aware of that. And I thought, you know, the poor conscious mind has had such a bad rap. I mean, such a terrible rap. Like the monkey mind, and it's chattering away and all the rest of it, and just terrible, absolutely terrible. It's not fair. It is not fair. The conscious mind is the big deal, isn't it? It's the big difference between us and, an amoeba. Conscious mind that can travel here, there, and everywhere, that can be in all these different places. And then our energy body reacts to that and transmits directly to the physical body. I mean, that's like a miracle if you think about it. I used to be a professional hypnotist at one point. And you'd have these distraught people, and you lay them on the couch, and you go, and now you're walking on a beautiful sandy beach, and you can see them going, oh, you can see even with your eyes of day that this is happening, that their entire body is changing, their body chemistry is changing, because their conscious mind has gone from there to there. The energy body reacts, transmits it through the physical body, and then we have the so-called real world physiological measurable changes in blood sugar levels and goodness knows what else. How much adrenaline is being pumped in and how much testosterone, and this is directable through our fabulous conscious minds, our spaceships, time spaceships. I've used this in Star Matrix to travel back in time to a time when things were fabulous, emotions were fabulous, energy body states were star-like, flaring stars, enlightenment states. To remember what that feels like, to get physical sensations back of what that feels like, to help us in the here and now stay strong, and to stop us, very importantly, from traveling always on these negative train tracks. Our conscious mind is a UFO, but for most people, it's just a heavy, heavy train stuck on heavy, heavy train tracks, going just one way, trauma city, over and over and over again. Now, when you ask a person this, they tell me about your emotions, they immediately think you mean negative emotions. When you stop them and you go like, no, I don't want to hear about your negative emotions. I want to hear about your good emotions. Last time when you felt really on song, when you really were on the sunny side of the street. And they're like, oh, you can see how the train tracks are just, and it's such a shame because our conscious mind is not just an airplane. Oh no, it's really a space-time traveling device. It's a UFO that can go anywhere in the multiverse, anywhere, anytime, any place. But I think what our job is here at the moment, as people who are here, we need to learn to control that, to realize that we are the captains of these starships, that we get to say where we are going. And if we don't say anything, we just get swirled up and pulled along on these old train tracks that the mainstream media lay out for us, who constantly tell us what we're supposed to be afraid of, who we're supposed to be hating. Oh, dearie me, dearie me, dearie me. See, when people say, there's this German song called The Thoughts Are Free, Die Gedanken sind frei. The thoughts aren't what we should be focusing on. They're just sort of the exhaust fumes from our spaceship, really. What we should be focusing on is the spaceship itself, and realize that we have the ability to say, all right, okay, I want to direct my attention. I'm on the bridge of my spaceship and I'm now going to wherever. Going to visit the dinosaurs, goddammit. Go back in time and visit the dinosaurs and imagine what that was like when there was all swamps and huge fern trees and insects the size of helicopters. And just that's where I want to go today. And then when you end up in the Renaissance, you really do have to talk to your crew and say, hey, guys, come on, this is not where we're supposed to be. I said dinosaurs, not Renaissance. Right, dinosaurs, let's go. And practice that to get your conscious mind to behave, to obey you. Obviously, the higher your energy states are, the better it is. But I think the minute we move away from saying that our conscious mind is just a monkey mind, oh my God, just a monkey mind? Greatest invention on planet Earth so far. A thing that can be alive and at the same time travel across time and space and all dimensions at will. I started calling the energy mind my dear energy mind. And I do that in all the trainings, and I really tell people to use that phrase, dear energy mind, my dear, dear energy mind. The conscious mind that has been given the rap for so many things that were never its fault. It's completely misunderstood, as is the energy mind. And it needs love too, my dear conscious mind. The conscious mind entity. We start loving that and giving it some attention, giving it some exercise that's beneficial and helpful. Stop beating up on it. Stop blaming it for everything that's wrong in our lives or in the lives of people in general. It's not its fault, goddammit. A brand new spaceship was handed to humanity. And as far as I know, the operating instructions got lost if they were handed along with this fantastic spaceship. Time spaceship. Dimensional super spaceship. That's a UFO. Our conscious minds are that great unidentified flying object. We get to love that more, understand it more, play with it more. Just love it more. Have a better attitude towards it. And sort of, yeah, really, that's a huge step in in the right direction to do something with the greatest gift of them all, self-reflexive consciousness. I've always said that I think the great creative order made it so that we have this, so that we can stand and look at the sunset and give it a round of applause, that we can be here to appreciate it and say, wow, that's so beautiful. Wow, creative order, you've done a fantastic job. But that's just me being slightly humorous, in case there's somebody who doesn't understand. Are we saying the conscious mind is a curious traveler who is out to discover more? You could look at it like that. You could look at it like that. I like to think of it as a spaceship. And I'm the captain, and, let's go on some adventures. Let's learn what this spaceship is capable of. When you buy a new car, you've probably done your research and you've got, the right color and you know what engine is in there and how fast it'll go, how much fuel it will use, that sort of thing, and it meets your expectations and it comes with a handbook So you know how to unlock the fuel cap and how to, I don't know, switch on the lights, that kind of stuff. Program the onboard computer. The conscious mind, we've been each given a spaceship, a time spaceship. There you go. There it is. It's landed in your garden. There it is. You can go anywhere with it. Without an operating manual. Without any of us really having asked for it. And the only way forward here is to try it out. What can it do for me? What does it do? How do I make it go? Just had a little sensation here of some Neanderthal banging on the keyboards there, on the buttons, going something might happen. Half the drive might spin up. The coordinates put in might be completely crazy. God alone knows what that ship's gonna do when you treat it like that. You know, God alone knows. Well, at the very simplest point, in Star Matrix, we are programming in a course towards a memory that we have from this lifetime that is bright and shiny, like a bright, shiny star. So it's like easy to find your way. You can't get lost along the way because it's such a big, bright, shiny star. And get our spaceship to go there. Let's go there. Okay, let's go there. And when you get close enough, then you can break through and you actually go into that memory. And that's sort of a first step in gaining control of this thing that we have, the conscious mind. And to be nicer to it and to realize what an amazing gift it is. And it certainly, like the emotions weren't sent by the great creative order to punish people for their wrongdoings. The emotions were sent to help us get information about the things that we can't see, hear, feel, taste, touch. It's a gift. Emotions are a gift. And in that same way, the conscious mind is a gift. When it starts going berserk and chattering like a monkey mind or dropping us in traumatic flashbacks, left, right, and center, and, puts us into weird thought loops and starts spinning out of control, that's not its fault. It needs to be handled correctly. We need to learn how to fly our spaceships. And that just also came to mind. Richard Bandler used to say, who's driving the bus? Well, I'm going to say who's flying this spaceship, who's in control, who's the master and commander at the far edges of the universe. Take control in it in a loving way. And I offer the metaphor of the UFO, which is something, to be fair, that Freud didn't have. I offer the metaphor as a UFO as a starting point to make friends, not just friends with your own conscious mind, but to actually get excited about it, to get excited about what it can do for us. And that thing with the 12 senses, that's just an application thereof, really. We can either be right here, or we can be anywhere. And when we do that, it has a physical influence on our physical bodies. That's fascinating. And the potential for healing in mind, body, spirit hasn't even begun to be tapped yet. But I'm hoping that, future generations will pick up this thread and weave a tapestry from it that is more logical, that is more loving, and that is going to be more effective and will stop many, many, many tears from having to be cried. That's sort of my hope for the future. Yeah, okay. So, my dear friends, you have a spaceship, a time spaceship. You could give it a name. I think mine's called Carteris, and it's a lovely metaphor. Clearly my dear energy mind really rather likes it. Perhaps you could draw your own UFO and have a little smile at the idea of metaphorizing our conscious minds as a UFO. I have a multicolored UFO, but I might make a golden one day, like the original illustration. Ah. Linda said, such timely talk at this time when so many are in a place of fear. Oh, you're very, very welcome, dear Linda. See, I believe Star Matrix is the way. I do. Absolutely believe Star Matrix is the way forward for modern energy and for humanity itself. If we can only get a few more people to start focusing on their star events and learning how to use that, being able to direct other people's attention on their star events, that is the most practical, the most fast, and the most profound way to help people reconnect with their own knowledge, their own wisdom, their own inner power, their own strength. And that once they found that, they can pass this on to children, to elders, to youngsters, to the people they touch in their lives. I absolutely believe Star Matrix is the way. And it's like, yeah, taking our spaceship consciously out to take us to a place that we want to be, that we want to go, where we can learn something important. And one of the most important things to learn is how to control your spaceship, how that works, how you do that, how it gets more difficult when you become stressed, how much easier it is when you are energy higher, what you have to say to yourself, how you figure that, how you do that to direct your attention on a star memory, for example, as a training program for these extraordinary space-time ships in all galaxies, all time spans, all dimension that we have been blessed with by the great creative order, gifted with, blessed with, miracled with. Most extraordinary thing, wonderful thing. It's time to, get on board and use it right, and use it in love and with logic and learning something along the way. I believe that's just a wonderful thing. Okay, my friends. So that was this week's Sunday Live, all about UFOs and senses. Marianne says, listening to your live stream has been most inspiring. Thank you very much. I wish you a very joyful and sparkling week. Thank you very much, dear Marianne, and everyone else for being here with me today. Keep the light shining, and if you get bored or you feel like it, you feel inspired to be doing that, get on board of your own personal time spaceship and take a trip to a place that will uplift you, that will inspire you, delight you, or even teach you something that you didn't know before. On that happy note, thank you very much for listening, coming all the way to the end. Lots of love from me and from my dear friends. And I'll see you soon, in just 7 days, right here for Sunday Live with Sylvia. Lots of love, and bye for now.